Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. And welcome to Friday's edition of the DCEU Daily. And you are welcome. And if you're feeling charitable, please smash that subscribe button. Please smash that like button because this channel is taking one hell of a beating right now. Not many subscribers. If you have subscribed, I think I've had 2 lately. Thank you very much. And smash the like, of course, and go over to Twitter and follow me at Movies TV Mad. I want to remind you of something that Ben Affleck said about a week ago.
That movie, having 2 directors is a very weird thing. You know what I mean? And there's Justice League, the director had a family tragedy, and the league. Did you know about that? The snydercut thing. Yeah, and so you have a kind of cow's body and a horse's head a little bit with 2 directors a lot of times, and for better or for worse, I think I do think Zach's cut should be available for sure.
We all do, my friend. So yesterday, Snyder fans and Release the Snyder Cut fans and the movement did something really special on Twitter. They were hashtagging Ben, giving him support for his new film, The Way Back. It was absolutely fantastic. And a very, very prominent blogger, Eric Davis, said that while quote tweeting this video. I think Zach's cut should be available. I agree with Ben Affleck here. I'm a filmmaker. If a filmmaker has a cut of a film they worked hard on and they want to share it with fans who are desperate to watch said cut, then fans and filmmaker should be allowed that opportunity. I couldn't agree more. Now, Eric Davis is one of the nice bloggers. I'm not a fan of bloggers, as you know, but he's from Fandango. He's the managing editor of Fandango. Eric's always got something positive to say. Some people will call him a shill. I don't. I just call him a really nice, positive person. And that was a really nice thing of Eric Davis to say. So today's video, we are going to be recapping what's been going on with the Snyder Cut. And RT Snyder Cut, the actual count, said this about Eric. Let's show Eric Davis, managing editor of Fandango, our gratitude for this Release the Snyder Cut support. Absolutely, Eric. Thank you very much appreciated. And it's always nice to be nice, isn't it? And what a shame we can't get more latitude, not just from people outside the movement, but people from inside it and all this divisiveness, all this attacking of the future of the DCEU. There's no need. Anyway, where are we? So I want to recap everything that's been going on with the DCEU. And there is an article here somewhere. Here it is. CTV, Sci-Fi Channel, the long history of Release the Snyder Cut from 2017 to now. So we are going to take a look at this. We are going to read this. Then we're going to have a little discussion. We haven't really had a good Release the Snyder Cut conversation for a very long time. So we're going to do that right now. 2017 was an interesting year in film. We got landmark flicks like Jordan Peele's groundbreaking directorial debut, Get Out, and the neon splash cinematic sequel to a 1982 cyberpunk classic, Blade Runner 2049. But there was some... let's take it. Among all the gems and ranking high up on that list was DC's film's attempts to tie together its cinematic universe, the highly anticipated Justice League. While the movie was a critical flop, Justice League viewers quickly found out that a 3-hour extended version of the movie existed somewhere out there, a version that was apparently much more cohesive and in line with what fans had been expecting is called the Snyder Cut, named after Justice League original director Zack Snyder. And when fans got wind of this, a movement Release the Snyder Cut began. Just over 2 years after the movie was released, that movement is still alive and well. So let's take a look back to see how all this started. What is the Snyder Cut? Throughout the Justice League shoot, the movie ran into some troubles, with rewrites causing tensions among the executive brass, but its biggest blow wouldn't happen until shooting was all done and the movie was in post-production. Snyder's daughter had tragically passed away due to suicide in March of 2017. He left the project to properly grieve and be with his family. With a deadline coming up, Warner Brothers hired Joss Whedon to take on the directorial role. Now, you know how I feel about all of this. I think Zack was taking some time out, but I think Zack was always going to come back and complete the film. But of course, it was all spun that Zack left the project properly and he brought in Joss Whedon to finish his movie the way he wanted it. That simply isn't true. While Whedon could have sailed smoothly in post-production, he brought some changes to the movie. He managed to get 2 months of reshoots done in London and Los Angeles, and while reshoots aren't uncommon, the work that Whedon brought on cost about $25 million, with the average reshoot only taking $6 to $10 million and 2 weeks to complete. This was an indication of how different Whedon's vision for the movie was compared to Snyder's. Still, it would still take some time for people to realise how different the two really were. Right, before we carry on, Warner Brothers brought him in. Kevin Sugihara brought him in, removed Zack Snyder to make a totally different film. Let's be clear, Whedon literally reshot most of the film. It's an entirely different film. So let's be correct when we're recapping this. A movement is born. It didn't take long for fans to call out how different they believed the theatrical cut of the film was compared to what Snyder was looking for. And momentum started to build. On Change.org, a petition was created to get the Snyder Cut released, and it quickly passed 100,000 signatures in a matter of days before peaking close to 180,000. Like most petitions, it didn't bring on any immediate changes, but that didn't stop the diehards, a website called snydercut.com, which detailed all the reasons why Snyder's version of the film was likely better, and then the theatrical cut was launched and became a hub for the community of fans who were clamouring to see that version. Now, it's important to talk about that Change.org petition because there were accusations of corruption, that signatures were being added, that the figures weren't true. So at that moment, the movement died a little bit, but that wasn't forever. During this time, entertainment journalist Josh Dickley alleged that Snyder had actually been fired from the film months before. He stepped down, and Collider's Matt Goldberg said he had heard something similar from another source. Both Goldberg and Dickey also claimed that their sources described the film as unwatchable. Really? Thank you, Collider. That's why you're doing entertainment pieces about celebs that E! News will be doing. Though no one has gone on record to publicly say so. However, these reports left a bad feeling in some that the Snyder Cut may actually be worse than the theatrical cut. But we never believed that. We knew the truth, and we know what Collider are all about. What Collider did, they were working under the premise of Sugihara to reveal something that we kind of knew to be true, but then to say was unwatchable. It was spin. Teasers galore. While the Change.org petition and for snydercut.com began to make the rounds, it wasn't until Snyder himself began posting stills from the Justice League storyboards on his social media accounts, stills hinting that the entire plot points might have been removed from the film altogether, that the gravity of the situation began to take hold. Another piece of news that helped the release the Snyder Cut movement gain steam during this time was the revelation that the iconic DC character Darkseid was removed from the film, something I suspected all along. During all this, the cast had remained rather quiet about what had been brewing in the fandom. When 2018's Aquaman was released, however, Jason Momoa, who played the titular hero, voiced his support for the movement. A year later, Snyder publicly acknowledged the existence of a separate cut for the first time. Project Comic-Con. With 2019 San Diego Comic-Con just around the corner, fans got ready to take the Release the Snyder Cut campaign into overdrive called Project Comic-Con. Fans undertook a massive operation to raise awareness of the Snyder Cut during this time. Fans didn't forget the man behind the project, raising nearly $15,000 for the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention in honor of Snyder and his late daughter, who was called Autumn, by the way. She just wasn't someone's daughter, she had a name. But Project Comic-Con wouldn't end there. 2019's New York Comic-Con was also hit by the Snyder Cut craze, and supporters upped the ante by renting out an entire billboard in Times Square to highlight their cause. By now, the movement was very loud, and caught the attention of several more DC cast members. Everyone joins the movement. Following Momoa's comments and Snyder's public admission that his special Justice League cut does in fact exist, the rest of the cast rallied behind the call to have Snyder's version released. Momoa has since been joined by Ray Fisher, who plays Cyborg, in advocating for the Snyder cut to be released. And that's not all. In November of last year, Ben Affleck, who played Batman for a brief stint, and Gal Gadot, who took on the role of Wonder Woman, both tweeted out the Release the Snyder Cut hashtag. With Affleck restating the need for the Snyder Cut to be released last month, we likely haven't seen the end of the movement. No, you haven't. While the jury is out on whether or not Warner Bros. Will cave into the pressure or if the movie is even any good, it's safe to say that this fight isn't over. No, the fight is just beginning. Articles like this are very, very important. It's important to remember where we came from. A DC fan, like me, at the cinema, I remember the reviews ringing in my head and me thinking, no, they hate DC, they hate Snyder. Basically, Joss Whedon is going to be faithful. Nothing untoward has happened. I sit down and watch it, right? And I kind of think I like the opening segments. Then the middle part, I start to realise something. This is not Zack's film. We've been betrayed here. You don't understand how it felt for us, who loved Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. Imagine loving so much and you think you're getting the next chapter. Imagine coming in for Doctor Who season 3, but Russell T Davies has been removed and Chris Chibnall comes in and changes everything. It's like that. It was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking to see what they did. I was angry, frustrated, but mainly heartbroken. I was depressed, and I've spoken about this before. Very depressed. But then I was inspired by fans making their own versions of the Snyder Cut and releasing them, right? Obviously, they were being deleted off YouTube and things like that. But there's some really great attempts to kind of have us see something a bit more than what we got in the theatrical cut. What really upset me about the theatrical cut was not only the betrayal of Zack and his vision and what we thought we were getting. Don't forget the marketing, the trailers, the TV spots all suggested this was going to be Zack's film, showing us scenes that weren't in Whedon's theatrical cut. The moment when, that beautiful moment at the Kent farm, I take it it's a yes. The ring. A beautiful beginning of a trailer. A scene we were all looking forward to, but we never, ever got. We was all betrayed. And as Ben and Eric Davis have said, if people want to see the cut, if the director feels that he wants us to see the cut, there's no reason why the studio shouldn't show it. But because of their nefarious actions under Kevin Sujihara, they're embarrassed, ashamed, and they want to pretend that this never happened. But it did happen. Right now, you are plugging that theatrical cut, that beast, that Frankenstein's monster, as part of your streaming service HBO Max. Aren't you embarrassed? Aren't you embarrassed of what you produced? For me, I can't believe we're still fighting for this. I can't believe it's an issue. I can't believe we haven't already seen it. But this is where we are. The fight goes on. Not only to see that, but to see the air cut. And in a moment, I'm going to play you another video, and it's to do with the air cut. This is very interesting. These are part of the interviews as part of the marketing for David Ayer's Suicide Squad, but I've never actually listened to this before. Pretty awesome. Take a listen to this.
To see a little more Joker and Suicide Squad too. We shot so much footage. There are so many scenes that are not in the film. Oh, there were so many scenes that got cut from the movie. I couldn't even start.
I got the feeling that you filmed a lot more.
We filmed so much of our backstory. Yeah, there's a lot of...
didn't make it in.
Yeah, and the backstory stuff, though, it's like magic. And some of the stuff we shot was like...
It was insane.
Yeah.
We did a lot of experimentation on the set. We explored a lot. There was so much that we shot that's not in the film. You know, it's a bit of an introduction to the Joker now. It's a bit more of a supporting part than maybe it could have been if they used everything. But they have a method to their madness. It was probably more about filtering all of the insanity, because I wanted to give a lot of options, and I think there's probably enough footage in this film for a Joker movie that I think I'd like to see a little.
Well. And you don't see what I see in that interview. I'm sure you've seen the interview, but the regret of Jared Leto, especially, and Margot, but Jared's really devastated. And him saying there's a method to their madness just shows you how betrayed he felt. And at first, because I was just all for DC making films and I wanted people to be positive about them, I was in denial about what Jared had said and felt that he shouldn't have said what he said. But now I get it. I remember the marketing, how he was talking about this film, how he was talking about how David Ayer and this cast were amazing. He really felt proud of what he did with Joker. And as he said, there's enough scenes to make a Joker movie. The way Jared Leto's been treated, they had a body double in Harley Quinn and the emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Birds of Prey, that's what I'm trying to say. They had a body double. Jared Leto should still be the DCEU Joker, but he's not, because he was too outspoken about what happened. He was betrayed. And now we are fighting not just for the Snyder Cut, but for the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad. Both movies are important, and it's important we see these extended scenes. There is a Suicide Squad extended version. There's a few extra scenes. At least they did that. But it should have been more. It should have been a director's cut. And I think now David Ayer realises... David Ayer? Is it David Ayer? It is David Ayer. God, I'm losing it today, aren't I? But basically, David Ayer realises that fans should be able to see his actual version of the movie. Because as he said on Twitter before, I don't want to be blamed for something that's not my fault. Something that's not even my film, right? The director's cut of Suicide Squad is David Ayer's film with this Joker origin story, this Joker and Harley origin story. Some beautiful stuff. We as fans, as a paying customer, and David and Zach deserve to see these things. And Warner Brothers, I implore you just to release these director's cuts so we can all finally move on, please. So, and finally, I have someone called Scott Edwards constantly messaging me. I just can't get my words out today. It's just not going well today, is it? Yeah, someone called Scott Edwards who says he's a fan of mine. It's always great to have a fan, Scott, so thank you. Don't forget, I'm asking you as a fan of your content to review Crisis on Infinite Earths for tomorrow's DCEU Daily. Also hoping you would talk about the new team established at the end. So, Scott, just for you, we are going to do this as the final part of today's DCEU Daily. Right. I've already kind of reviewed this, but Scott, I'm not going to make you go down my previous videos because I don't even have playlists. I haven't organised anything. It wouldn't be fair. So I can't remember a great deal amount of the crossover, but what I can remember is I really enjoyed it. Now, let me be clear here. I haven't watched Arrowverse consistently since the end of Flash Season 3. I loved Arrow seasons 1 and 2. I loved The Flash seasons 1 and 2. They have people behind them who love DC, who love these characters. Now it's all about political agenda. And I'm sorry, I can't sit there watching my gender being bashed every 5 minutes. And if they want to make that kind of stuff, then there's people. I understand why people like Scott would want to watch this. A DC fan who's seeing an interconnected universe on TV each week is beautiful. And I must admit, the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover was absolutely fantastic. One of my favourite moments was seeing Ezra Miller's Flash interact with the Arrowverse's Flash, Grant Gustin. It was a beautiful, unexpected moment and a clue to what we could be looking forward to within the Flash movie. So I really liked it. They even made Batwoman likeable. I mean, that's a feat within itself. I love the whole arc of Arrow being front, Oliver Queen, aka Green Arrow, being front and centre in this crossover. He's the hero. He knows he has to die. He knows he has to sacrifice himself. It's been about, that's what the final season of Arrow was all about. And ultimately, he does sacrifice himself. In fact, he dies twice. We also see versions of Superman, which is great. We see Tyler Hoechlin's version, who's getting his own TV show, which is going to be called Superman and Lois, and it seems amazing. It really, really does. They're going to have kids, and we're going to see how that works out. Superman having children with special abilities. I think one of them won't have abilities and the other one will. So that's going to be very interesting. And then we saw Brandon Routh himself. This was one of the best moments of the crossover. Brandon Routh himself reprises his Superman Returns, Christopher Reeve's Superman, on Crisis on Infinite Earths. And it was delightful, and it's brilliant. I personally think that HBO should give him his own series as his Superman Returns Superman, because it was so unfair what happened to Brandon. He is a great Superman. The outfit was beautiful. There were many, many great aspects. Now, Scott wants to know what I think about this new Justice League team. We have a brand new Hall of Justice. I think the team setup is really, really good. I like those people who are going to be members of that Justice League. I personally think they should really have a Justice League TV show. And what I would actually do is, instead of doing the crossovers every year, I would just have a Justice League mini-season. So you wouldn't have the crossovers, but you would have the Justice League TV show having kind of a problem to solve every year. So it wouldn't be a crossover. It will be basically every year, it will be a Justice League miniseries, maybe of 5-6 episodes. And absolutely, and I love the changes they've made because of Crisis. Now they've put everyone on the same Earth, which is really great. And Black Lightning will now be part of this new Justice League as well, which is really, really exciting. And I love the interactions between Black Lightning and the Flash too. So I love this new Justice League setup, and I'd love to see a 6-episode Justice League series replace the yearly crossovers. And anyone else want to talk about this? Comment down below and we can interact. Scott, I hope you enjoyed our little discussion. Please like, share and subscribe. Comment down below, and I'll be back tomorrow with more DCEU Daily. See you then.